going on, everybody? It is Brendan, Dad Planet. Welcome back to the One Man Show. I'm trying to be a little bit quiet because this room is attached to my youngest daughter's room, and she is wiped out from a visit to the pool. So I'm bringing you a what's sold on eBay video, and I'm trying to whisper while I do it. This covers the week of sales that I did June 8th through the 14th. Not the best week of sales, but there's a couple of new to me brands, one in the holiday niche, one in the fishing niche. So I'm excited to feature those for you, as well as all of the other ones, but let's get to it. All right, slight drop in sales for me this week, June 8th through the 14th, just under 2,000 in gross, just under 1,300 in net. My selling costs right in line with where they usually are, as well as my average sales price, which does hover around $60. So this was just one of those things where I usually get much slower starting in July, but I just hit a little bit of a road bump this week and the following. But these 15 items are amazing, so I'm excited to feature them for you. Let's get into it. I understand that a Sonic movie just came out, but it's rare that the interest would stick long after the movie was released. I know Sonic the Hedgehog is a beloved character. He's been around for a long time. All of the other characters in the Sonic story are also very popular, but the price increases that I'm seeing on even just the plush alone are amazing. So I got this at a garage sale. I didn't pay anything for it. She gave it to me for free. I sold it for $69.99. The buyer is $80.08 all in. It did take 6 weeks to sell, which is still pretty quick, relatively speaking. But even the other characters, you really have to, at any time, just train your brain. Anytime you see a Sonic plush, whether it's new or pre-owned, and the other characters that look like it might come from the Sonic franchise, if you're a little bit familiar with how they kind of look, make sure you grab it and run your numbers, because this is like the second or third Sonic that I've sold for a very high dollar amount. And so I want you to experience the same thing. So keep your eye out for it. This was a great sale. All right, this is just a Shark carpet cleaner. English lavender may be what is selling this so well. Based on the UPC code alone, it is a bona fide BOLO. I had this listed for $99. I took an offer of $89. This buyer is $108.20 all in. It only cost me $7.99, and this one sold in 7 weeks as well. I believe I got positive feedback for this listing as well. But if you look at the UPC code, and I'll have the comms on the screen, this is a very clear, consistent seller for a very high dollar amount. Maybe it's the scent. It could be something else. At any rate, I'm happy with the sale, so keep your eye out for this too. Okay, this is a new to me BOLO, so buyer's choice carolers. What I've noticed is just through searching the current active listings and then the sold listings that this is a highly collectible line of figures. So I have a Nutcracker vendor right here, and he was from 2006. I couldn't find anything like it as a comparable sold when I was doing my research, so I just thought 50 bucks would be fair, and it sold relatively quickly for that amount. This buyer is $68.36 all in. It only cost me $3.99, and in the middle of June, it only took 6 days to sell. So while not every one of them is going to get you $50, some will be in the $20 range, but there will be some in the $100 range as well. I haven't really drilled down, but just based on the amount of solds volume-wise, it's telling me that this is a collectible item. So please keep your eye out for these. They're surprising, and I don't think anybody's catching this at Goodwill. All right, pair of True Religion shorts. Now, if you look on your app, you're gonna see a lot of listings for True Religion shorts, both new and both pre-owned. But if you sort the solds and you sort them by pre-owned, there's a good number of them that sell for even more than $35. So I feel like you should still be paying attention to it. I found these at the bins, so it was a lot easier of a choice for me to make since you pay by the pound at the bins. I mean, let's call this $1.50, $2.50, somewhere in between there. It's probably a couple of bucks. And they did eventually sell for $27. I had it listed for $30. This buyer is $42.92 all in, maybe again $2.50. It only took 1 month to sell. Now, of course, being the time, but I've noticed that both pre-owned and used, the volume of sales is pretty equal there. But you will get a good number of them in the $30, $40, even $50 range, even pre-owned. So I think True Religion is still a brand you should look for shorts wise, especially when you're in the summertime. Maybe that changes a little bit as we get into fall, but it's still a solid brand and it still sells. All right, this is a St. Croix graphite rod. Now I have to tell you, I don't know a ton about fishing, but just through my research, these imperial graphite rods from this brand, especially when the style number starts with IFT, it's a BOLO. People are looking for them. I had the 8656 model, which I know nothing about.
So I had to kind of pick or go into therapy to see if I could find anything that was sort of comparable in this price range. And so just seeing through the other sold listings, I thought this is going to land at $150 somewhere around there. And I eventually took an offer of $127.49. So this buyer is $151.17 all in after shipping and after taxes. And it only cost me $10 at Goodwill. So this was an exciting find because, again, it's not something that I'm familiar with. So that's the beauty of learning on the fly when you're reselling, is you hit these home runs every now and then, and you didn't have to know a thing about it prior to. Very easy to ship. In fact, if I ship, I have some other fly rods. I'll show you how I ship them in a future video just to give you an idea. Very, very simple, not as hard as you might think. And this also only took 6 days to sell. Very fast sale. Youngstown State. Now, just a little bit of a backstory with this school. Jim Tressel is the president of this university. Now, for those of you who don't know who Jim Tressel is, he was the former football coach at Ohio State University. So even though this is like a very small school, it's still recognized a little bit, and it has a little bit of sort of star power at the president level. And so I felt like picking this up made sense because it'll eventually land in the right hands. Now, if you are looking up, Youngstown State sweatshirts and you're looking at the list to sell ratio, it's really not that great. And this one took a very long time to sell. So I can't really tell you if you should also do the same, but I just felt that, even though it was a very tiny school, somebody out there is going to really appreciate this vintage sweatshirt, and it did eventually sell. So I will take it. $40. This buyer is $53.77 all in. It only cost me $4.99. It took a year and a half to sell, but put it in the basement, forget about it, and when the time comes, the time comes. Interesting, of course, that the sweatshirt would sell in June, but it is what it is. That's why I like growing my inventory rather than playing the fast nickel slow dime game on eBay. This was another one that took a long time to sell, but I can tell you why. I think I probably had this one priced a little bit too high. I had it listed in the $50 range, and I feel like that's why this sits. So a pair of CrossFit Nano 7.0, they were beautiful and in excellent condition. The blue color here. Looking at solds, it looks like they, even in brand new condition, are selling like in the $50 to $60 to $70 range. So me being pre-owned at 50 is probably the reason this sat. If I had listed it at 40 from the beginning, it's possible that they would have sold a little bit quicker, but I'll take the $40 now. Again, I'm not trying to fly through all of my inventory at one time. It's totally okay. So sometimes you overprice some things, and it is what it is. You learn and you move on. But they sold for $40. This buyer is $52.89 all in. They only cost me $4.39, but again, it did take a year to sell. So, pricing does matter. I like to try to price high on a lot of my items, at least on the higher end. But this is just one where it took a long time because they were just a little bit too high. All right, again, another one of those ones where I had it listed for 50 and I took an offer of 40. You're not going to see a ton of Texas Tech hats selling for over $50. There are some in the sports specialties you'll see as a brand. Those vintage hats will sell for a high dollar amount. This is Paramount, and I think that's why it allowed me to even get $40. But not all Texas Tech vintage hats are created equal. So I got this, sold this for 40. This buyer is $47.62 all in. 50 cents at the bins, might have even been a little bit less than that. And this took 6 months to sell. This is the second Texas Tech vintage hat that I've sold. I think I sold another one in a previous video for around $25. So getting 40 for this was phenomenal. Paramount is a well-respected vintage hat brand, so that probably played into it. But again, you're not going to get that much more than $40, $50, $60 for these vintage hats for this school. Keep that in mind. All right, Patagonia, no-brainer brand. I love this brand, and I loved this shirt. I found it at the bins, 70 cents because it's Capilene. It's very, very light. The color was kind of like heatherish green, but the Defend Public Lands, and this is a real BOLO. Like, you'll see 2 or 3 sales of this same exact shirt in a small amount of time frame. So I had seen some in like the 30, maybe even the $35 range. So I kicked mine up to 40, and it sold for 40, and it sold relatively quickly. So this buyer is $43.98 all in after shipping and after taxes. Took 3 days to sell. A very fast seller, and I also believe that I got positive feedback for this experience as well. So this was a fantastic find at the bins. It's just the kind of thing I love, where it's a very high dollar amount. It's also a very light item, so it doesn't cost me anything. Basically, probably paid for my entire trip to the bins when you pay by the pound. For those of you that don't know or have not heard me talk about Rhoback, please familiarize yourself with it. So what I'm noticing on their own website is they're having trouble replenishing styles. And when that happens, the secondary market kicks in and prices go way, way up, because it's basically the only place you can go to get your favorite branded shirt when you're having issues like I think the manufacturer is having replenishing items on their end. So it's just a light blue striped performance shirt. You'll notice the little dog logo. That's when you know you've got Rhoback, and these are unbelievably easy to sell. I got full price for this one at 70 bucks. Buyer is $74.98 all in. I paid $17 for it because I bought a lot of 6 of them, but every one of them, with the exception of the last one that I had to sell, sold really, really quickly and for a very high dollar amount. So that was an excellent sale. I bought it on Facebook Marketplace and jumped on it really quickly. This one took 3 weeks to sell, so another quick seller. Way out of my wheelhouse. Clinique Redless Solutions Daily Relief Cream. Relief from what? I'm not sure. At any rate, I got this at a rummage sale, so I paid very little for it, maybe $3. And it was brand new with the seal. So I had it listed for around 42, took an offer of 35, totally happy with that. Buyer is 41.52 all in, and this only took 3 weeks to sell. So another quick seller, and boy, am I glad to see it go, because health and beauty products are really not only not my wheelhouse, but I feel like that's where a lot of Veros come from. So I didn't see Clinique on the list. They might be, doesn't necessarily mean you can't sell it, but I'm happy to see it go nonetheless. Halloween sells year round. I can't remember if I got this in a Goodwill or if I found it at the bins. I feel like this style pumpkin blow mold I found in a store, so it cost me $3.99. Listed it aggressively because of where we're at time-wise, and it did eventually sell for $20. So buyer is $33.15 all in. It took 3 months to sell, but it did sell in June. I am very actively sourcing all things Halloween and October related. July coming up is usually my slowest month, but I'm not going to focus on July. I'm going to focus on October in July. So I just picked up a bunch of Halloween related items on Marketplace yesterday. I'm continuing to bulk up so that I can make up for what I think is going to be a slow July for me in the Q4 months or the months leading up to it, which I know are usually always very successful. So this was a good sale. Halloween sells year round. It is an evergreen niche, so I'm happy to see it go. Has it been a while since I've sold a vacuum? I don't know. We got to check. I sell a lot of them. This one was actually very easy to break down, even though like the stem or the wand looks big, but this broke down really, really easy. It was easy to get into the box and shipped off. It only came with one attachment. This model, I think, comes with some other attachments that are like important to the vacuum experience. And so I took an offer. I had it listed for $275, and I took an offer for $200, which is probably where it should have landed based on just the lack of attachments that I had to add to the listing. So this buyer is $267.92 all in. Cost me $10 at Goodwill, and it only took 7 months to sell. So not too bad considering it was missing a lot of the things you need to do certain styles of carpets or woods or whatever have you. But if I had those, I think you can probably push this into the $300 range pre-owned. So this is a good one to look for. Electrolux Ultra Flex bagless vacuum, and another one I'm happy to see go. I pick up 99.9% of the Tory Burch that I find. Unless it's in like absolutely destroyed condition, I still pick this up. This is just a very basic pair of flip-flops. I found these at a Goodwill store, so they did cost $4.69. I priced them at $30. I took an offer of $25.49, and I think I was able to ship them first class. So this buyer is $32.92 all in. They only took 2 days to sell. It's obviously like a red coral reef pattern. I had that in my listing, and so maybe that was a factor in somebody finding this listing relatively quickly. But unless it's totally destroyed, Tory Burch is a go for me almost 100% of the time. So I hope that is for you too. I feel like a lot of people know that Tory Burch is a BOLO brand, but for those of you that don't, look at the little logo, the gold logo on the front, familiarize yourself with it. Very sort of like middle high end items, and a lot that will sell for a very high dollar amount, her bags especially, so keep that in mind. All right, another garage sale find here, Canon EOS Rebel T2i camera. I bought this for $60, and I sold this entire set for $180, but I parted out a lens that I sold for $90 as well. So if you total it all up, it was still a pretty good purchase, even though I paid up for it at $60. This buyer is $219.38 all in, and it only took 2 days to sell. This was a very fast seller. I was very happy to grab this thing, get it listed, and get it sold, as I was the other 14, and I hope you enjoyed all of those. Here's one of the items I picked up yesterday. So I paid $20 for this. It's from Spirit Halloween, Grim Graven Angel. And I think it goes about 2.5 feet. I'm trusting that the person that sold this to me
says that it works. So I'll test this, but I didn't test it on site. Normally, sometimes you have to check. It's like, hey, is this in brand new condition, or is this in I used it a few times brand new condition? It seems like some people they're not always 100% honest with you, but I was just trusting what she said. I don't see any of these on eBay right now, and like the last one I think sold for around $145 or so. So I think I'm gonna list this in the $120 to $150 range. And again, I only paid $20 for it, but that's one of them. I'm hitting Halloween very, very hard because I want to have a super successful October, just like I spoke about earlier. All right, sorry, I saw this in my garage and got excited too. I haven't listed this yet. You can see I paid, what, $15 for this. I found this at a garage sale. I've actually sold, it's a Fisher Price Castle from 1994. I just sold just this base alone for $100, but this one has some of the accessories that come with this thing. So I think this will probably end up selling for around $120 to $150 as well. Keep your eye out for it. Again, it's very thick plastic. It's easy to ship, but this was an exciting find too. I just picked this up yesterday, and I hope to sell it quickly since it's got all of the little figures inside. All right, y'all, hope you enjoyed that. Brendan here, Dad Planet, the one-man show. Hit that like button if you liked what you saw or you learned something today, and then always consider becoming a member of the Dad Planet family by subscribing and hitting the bell notification icon so that you know every single time I upload a video to YouTube. But that is it. That's all I have for you. I'm going to go play with some kids. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.